Yulan Continent is a world where empires rise and fall. Here, powerful saint-level experts battle using devastating spells and sword techniques, and their clashes are powerful enough to shake the very earth itself. The vast mountain range of magical beasts is ruled by terrifying magical creatures, a place where only the bravest, or the most foolish, dare to venture. In this world, the strong live like kings, while the weak struggle every day just to survive. And in a small town on this continent was born a young boy named Linley Baruch. Linley belongs to the Baruch clan, a family that once stood at the peak of the Yulan Continent. In the past, the legendary Dragonblood Warriors of the Baruch clan were feared and respected throughout the world. But those glorious days are long gone. Their fame has faded, their power has disappeared, and even their name has been forgotten by most people. Now, the responsibility of restoring the clan's lost honor rests on Linley's shoulders. Throughout his journey, he will meet powerful allies and dangerous enemies. Every step will bring new struggles, and every challenge will push him closer to greatness. So, get ready to witness the rise of a new legend. This is the story of Linley Baruch. The story begins on the Yulan Continent, a land divided between mighty empires and powerful alliances. In the east stand the four great empires, while the west is dominated by two major alliances. For countless years, the conflicts between these powers have never truly been resolved. This is a world ruled by warriors and strength. Here, the rise and fall of nations is a common sight. The strong rule supreme, while the weak are left behind. Our story begins with a clan that was once among the most powerful on the continent. Today, however, it is known as the fallen Baruch clan, a once brilliant sun that is slowly setting. We are then introduced to our protagonist, Linley Baruch. Despite his young age, Linley possesses the determination and spirit of a true warrior. On this day, he is sparring against a first-rank warrior named Puli. Puli repeatedly launches attacks at Linley, but Linley skillfully avoids and counters every move, forcing his opponent onto the defensive. During the fight, Linley lands a powerful kick to Puli's face followed by a solid punch. However, the attack barely affects Puli. Laughing arrogantly, Puli says, "You're still at rank 0 while I'm already a first-rank warrior. There's no way a weakling like you can defeat me." With that, Puli launches a brutal counterattack. He knocks Linley to the ground, sits on his chest, and begins raining punches down on him. At the same time, another boy starts mocking the Baruch clan and insulting Linley's family. The moment Linley hears those insults, something inside him snaps. Ignoring his injuries, he forces himself back onto his feet. Even Puli is shocked to see him stand up again. This time, Linley unleashes a powerful palm strike, seriously injuring Puli. He grabs him, spins him around, and slams him hard into the ground. In the end, Linley wins the match. As a reward, he receives a bag filled with apples. But Linley's mind is focused on something much bigger. Deep down, he dreams of passing the clan's examination and awakening as a Dragonblood Warrior. The scene then shifts to Linley's father, Hog Baruch, who appears deeply troubled. Speaking with the clan steward, Hog explains that awakening the Dragonblood bloodline is an incredibly rare event. Generation after generation has passed, Hog says, yet none of us have successfully awakened the Dragonblood bloodline. Even I was only able to reach the 6th rank as a warrior. His voice carries both disappointment and regret as he reflects on the decline of the once glorious Baruch clan. The steward then tried to comfort Hog Baruch. "Even if you only reach the 6th rank, you've protected the Baruch clan for many years. That alone is something to be proud of." Hog sighed before replying, "Linley has worked hard ever since he was a child. He has already made up his mind to become a Dragonblood Warrior. Whether as his father or as the leader of the Baruch clan, all I can do is pray that his dream comes true. After all, Linley is the pride of our clan. He is our future." The story then reveals the history of the Baruch clan. The Baruch clan was once a noble family blessed with an ancient bloodline. Their descendants carried the blood of powerful dragons, allowing certain members of the family to awaken as Dragonblood Warriors. According to legend, their bloodline originated from the mighty azure dragon, one of the 4 divine beasts. In the year 4560 of the Yulan calendar, the first Dragonblood Warrior appeared within the Baruch clan. Using his incredible strength and swordsmanship, he slew 2 terrifying dragons and established the foundation of the clan's glory. Generations later, another Dragonblood Warrior emerged. He defeated a powerful golden dragon that had terrorized the mountain range of magical beasts. The clan also produced many legendary experts who fought for the Holy Union and earned countless victories on the battlefield. However, as time passed, the Dragonblood bloodline gradually weakened. Fewer and fewer Dragonblood Warriors appeared until eventually none appeared at all. That was the moment the decline of the Baruch clan truly began. The scene then shifts to the clan's ancestral hall. Today is the day of Linley's bloodline examination. Hogg stands before the clan's ancestors and silently prays for their blessing. In his eyes, Linley is the last hope capable of restoring the Baruch clan to its former glory. A special magical formation is activated inside the hall. As the formation glows brightly, an ancient dragonblood testing dagger appears before Linley. Linley cuts his finger and allows his blood to drip onto the dagger. At this moment, the future of both Linley and the Baruch clan hangs in the balance. For a brief moment, a powerful aura erupts from the dagger. Seeing this, Hogg's eyes fill with hope. But only seconds later, the energy suddenly fades away. The result is clear. Linley has failed. His Dragonblood bloodline has not awakened. The disappointment hits him like a hammer. Lowering his head, Linley apologizes to his father. "I'm sorry, father. I've let you down." Hogg immediately shakes his head. "This isn't your fault. For thousands of years, countless members of the Baruch clan have taken this test. Not a single one succeeded. Don't blame yourself. This is simply fate." Just then, a wealthy merchant arrives at the manor to collect a limestone sculpture that Hogg has agreed to sell. Although Hogg desperately wants to preserve his family's inheritance, the clan's financial situation has become worse with every passing year. Things have become so difficult that they are now forced to sell even their ancestral treasures. Watching this happen fills Linley with anger and frustration. He realizes that if things continue like this, the clan may eventually lose everything. Unable to vent his emotions, he begins striking a wooden training dummy repeatedly. At that moment, his younger brother, Wharton Baruch, arrives. Wharton complains that another one of his favorite stone sculptures has been sold. "I'm really angry at father," he says. Linley immediately defends Hogg. "This isn't father's fault. He's already carrying enough burdens. I haven't been able to help him either." Trying to cheer his brother up, Wharton suggests exploring the old manor and playing hide-and-seek the next day. Hearing this gives Linley an idea. The old manor contains many rooms that haven't been opened for over a century. Perhaps there might still be valuable treasures hidden inside. The following day, Linley enters the abandoned mansion alone and begins searching every room carefully. Meanwhile, Hogg asks the steward where Linley has gone. When he learns that Linley is exploring the old manor, he asks for him to be called back, because there is something important he wishes to discuss. Inside the old mansion, Linley searches room after room but finds nothing valuable. Then suddenly, an old portrait falls from the wall. Behind it, hidden inside a drawer, lies an ancient ring. Curious, Linley picks it up and examines it closely. At first glance, the design looks strange, but after studying it carefully, he realizes that it isn't a worm at all. A dragon is coiled around the ring. This mysterious artifact is none other than the legendary Coiling Dragon ring. Thinking it might be worth some money, Linley decides to keep it. Before he can investigate further, the steward arrives and informs him that Hogg wishes to see him immediately. Linley quickly returns. Hogg reassures him. "You don't need to worry about the family's problems. I'll handle them." After a brief pause, Hogg reveals a secret about the Baruch bloodline. "Our clan's bloodline is unique. Unlike ordinary warriors, we cannot cultivate battle ki normally. Without awakening the Dragonblood bloodline, our potential is severely limited." Linley already understands what this means. "So even if I train my entire life, I'll probably never surpass the 6th rank, just like you." Hogg nods sadly. "Exactly. From our ancestors to me, nobody has managed to break through that limit." But Linley's eyes remain determined. "Then I'll find another way. If I can't awaken the Dragonblood bloodline, I'll become stronger through my own efforts. I refuse to give up. Restoring the Baruch clan is my responsibility." From that day onward, Linley throws himself into relentless training. Day after day, he pushes his body beyond its limits. While other children rest, Linley continues training. Many people believe he's crazy. Some even think he'll eventually collapse from exhaustion. But Linley never stops. His determination only grows stronger. Doring Cowart immediately examined Linley's magical energy and was pleasantly surprised. "Your body is releasing an extraordinary amount of magical energy," he said. "However, we still need to determine whether you can sense the magical elements." Curious, Linley asked, "Senior, what exactly are magical elements?" Doring smiled and began explaining. "When a gifted mage enters a meditative state, They can sense countless tiny particles of different colors scattered throughout the world. These particles are known as magical elements. Before we can determine your talent, you must first learn how to meditate. He then instructed Linley to close his eyes. Calm your mind and focus on the world around you. Feel the elements that exist between heaven and earth. Once you do that, you will naturally enter a meditative state. As soon as Linley followed the instructions, a massive amount of elemental energy began gathering around him. The sudden sensation startled him, causing him to immediately open his eyes. Confused, he looked around and asked, "Senior, where did all these glowing particles come from?" Hearing this, Dragonblood was shocked. "You can see them directly?" Normally, even talented mages could only sense elemental particles while meditating. Linley nodded. "Ever since I was little, I've always been able to see them. In the soil I can see countless golden particles, in flames I see red particles, and in the wind, I can see green particles floating everywhere." The moment he heard this, Dragonblood became extremely excited. He realized that he had greatly underestimated Linley's talent. "This is unbelievable," he thought. "The boy possesses an exceptionally rare affinity for multiple elements." After calming himself down, Dragonblood looked at Linley and declared, "From this moment onward, you are officially my disciple. I will personally train you and help you become one of the greatest saint-level mages the Yulan Continent has ever seen." Seeing the old master's excitement, Linley happily accepted. At the same time, he couldn't help but feel excited himself. If he could master both magic and warrior techniques, his future possibilities would be limitless. That evening, Linley sat at the dinner table while secretly speaking with Dragonblood. Lowering his voice, he quietly asked, "Senior, are you sure nobody else can see you?" Dragonblood laughed. "Don't worry, only extremely powerful experts can sense my existence. Ordinary people won't be able to see or hear me." Just then, Hogbrook brought up an important topic. "I heard that warriors are currently being recruited in Fenlai City. I think you should consider applying." Linley hesitated before replying. "Father, I actually want to learn magic." Hog immediately rejected the idea. "Changing your cultivation path isn't a simple matter. Besides, you have never shown any obvious talent for magic. I can't support such a risky decision." Hearing this left Linley disappointed. However, Dragonblood quickly encouraged him. "Don't lose hope, kid. Follow my instructions." He then taught Linley a simple exercise. "Hold your hands near that candle. Focus your mind and try to sense the fire element. Guide the elemental energy toward the flame." Linley did exactly as instructed. Moments later, the small candle flame suddenly expanded and erupted into a burst of fire. Everyone at the table was stunned. Hog stared at his son in disbelief. "Linley, how did you do that?" Wharton excitedly jumped up. "Father!" Big Brother made the candle explode. Even Dragonblood was impressed. "Excellent. Your control over magical energy is remarkable." Linley then confidently explained, "I can sense and control the fire element." For the first time, Hog began seriously considering the possibility that his son truly possessed magical talent. The clan steward, however, reminded him of reality. "Master Hog, admission into a prestigious magic academy is extremely difficult. Many talented students fail to meet their requirements. On top of that, the tuition fees are incredibly expensive. Given our current financial situation, it may be impossible." Hog remained silent for a moment. Then he looked at Linley and said, "He failed the Dragonblood examination just like I did. Even with years of hard work, he may never surpass the 6th rank as a warrior. I know better than anyone how discouraging that can be." After a brief pause, he continued, "But if you truly possess talent in magic, then we should at least try." Hearing this filled Linley with excitement. "Father, I want to attend the best academy on the continent." Hog nodded. "There are many academies throughout the Yulan Continent, but if we're talking about the greatest magic academy of all, nothing compares to the Ernst Institute. It possesses the finest resources, the most talented students, and some of the strongest teachers in the world." He then added seriously, "But admission is extremely difficult. Are you certain about this?" Without hesitation, Linley nodded. "Yes, father, I'm sure." From that day onward, Linley began studying magic with complete dedication. Dragonblood taught him the fundamentals of magical cultivation. Before you can cast powerful spells, you must first learn how to gather and control elemental energy. Use your spiritual energy to shape the elements into a specific form. Following his master's instructions, Linley began practicing earth-style magic. By controlling earth element particles with his mind, he successfully created sharp stone spikes known as earth lances. Watching his progress, Doring couldn't help but smile. Linley's learning speed was far beyond anything he had expected. For the first time in many years, the old saint-level mage felt genuine excitement. He knew that he had finally found a disciple capable of surpassing even his own achievements. Doring suddenly came up with an idea. This is perfect, he thought. This Shadowmouse can become the best training partner Linley could ever ask for. He explained that the Shadowmouse was a magical beast with unbelievable speed and strength, comparable to a fourth-rank mage. If someone could make such a creature their magical companion, it would become an invaluable ally. After hearing such high praise, Linley became interested. "Can I make it my magical pet?" he asked excitedly. Doring nodded. "You can, but first you must learn the soul contract magic circle. Only then can you form a contract with a magical beast." Linley's excitement disappeared instantly. "But that magic requires me to become a 7th-rank mage," he replied helplessly. "I'll also need expensive magic scrolls worth thousands of gold coins. My father could never afford something like that." Master Doring laughed gently. "Don't lose hope so quickly. This Shadowmouse is still young, and it looks extremely hungry." Following his master's advice, Linley placed a large piece of fresh meat in front of the little beast, hoping to befriend it. Unfortunately, the Shadowmouse completely ignored the food. Instead, it rushed straight toward Linley again. Panicking, Linley quickly summoned another earth spike to block its path before running away as fast as he could. From that day onward, chasing each other became part of their daily routine. Every morning, the Shadowmouse would hunt Linley throughout the mountains, forcing him to use earth magic repeatedly just to survive. Sometimes Linley managed to land a hit. Other times the Shadowmouse knocked him flying. They fought, chased, and exhausted each other almost every single day. Although they weren't friends yet, this strange relationship gradually sharpened Linley's combat instincts. Fighting against such a fast magical beast forced him to improve far more quickly than ordinary training ever could. Years passed in the blink of an eye. The young boy eventually grew into a handsome teenager. His control over earth magic became far more refined, and his physical strength increased tremendously. After another successful training session, Master Doring proudly announced, "Congratulations, Linley. From today onward, you're officially a 1st-rank mage." Linley was delighted. He knew he couldn't have reached this level without the Shadowmouse constantly pushing him beyond his limits. However, despite spending years together, the little beast still hadn't accepted him as its master. Master Doring sighed. "It seems the Shadowmouse still hasn't truly acknowledged you." Those words made Linley feel disappointed, because the following day he would be leaving Wushan Town forever. The scene then shifted to the Baruch clan's ancestral hall. Lord Hogg handed Linley an ancient book. "This contains the complete history of the Baruch clan," he explained. "It also records many of our family's greatest secrets. From now on, this book belongs to you." He placed his hand on Linley's shoulder and continued, "You must become the pillar of our family. One day, you'll restore the glory of the Baruch clan." The next morning, Linley finally left home to begin his journey toward Ernst Academy. While riding inside the carriage, Master Doring noticed that Linley looked unusually quiet. "You barely slept last night," he said. "Get some rest." Linley simply looked out the window. He wasn't worried about the academy. He was thinking about his father, his hometown, and even the little Shadowmouse that had spent years chasing him through the mountains. Meanwhile, deep inside the forest, the Shadowmouse continued waiting outside its cave, expecting Linley to appear like always. But after waiting for a long time, it finally noticed a carriage leaving Wushan Town. Realizing Linley was inside and about to leave forever, the little beast immediately sprinted after it at astonishing speed. Its speed was so incredible that Hillman couldn't stop it. He tried blocking its path, but the Shadowmouse crashed into him with terrifying force, sending him flying straight through the carriage window. Linley was shocked. Before anyone could react, the Shadowmouse jumped into the carriage, bit Linley's finger, and drew a drop of his blood. The next moment, a mysterious magical formation appeared beneath both of them. Golden light filled the carriage. Linley stared in disbelief. Master Doring smiled brightly. "It chose you." "What?" "The little fellow wants to form a soul contract with you on its own." Doring explained that even many legendary mages spent their entire lives trying to earn the loyalty of magical beasts without success. Yet Linley had accomplished something most people considered impossible. Not through force, but through kindness and sincerity. Moments later, the magical formation connected their souls. The soul contract was complete. From that moment onward, the Shadowmouse officially became Linley's magical companion. Smiling warmly, Linley gently picked up the little creature. "You don't even have a name," he thought for a moment before saying, "From today onward, your name is Bebe." The little Shadowmouse happily accepted the name. Hillman, who had just recovered from being knocked away, stared at the scene in complete disbelief. "Linley, did you actually tame a magical beast?" Normally, forming a soul contract required an expensive soul contract scroll. Linley simply smiled. "Uncle Hillman, don't worry. Bebe handled everything himself." After saying goodbye to everyone, Linley and Bebe continued their long journey. Several days later, they finally arrived at the legendary Ernst Academy, the greatest academy for mages on the entire Yulan Continent. Countless talented young magicians from every corner of the continent had gathered there, all hoping to become students of this prestigious institution. Standing before the magnificent academy gates, Linley took a deep breath. His true journey had finally begun. The entrance examination at Ernst Academy had finally begun. One by one, every mage apprentice stepped onto the testing platform to prove whether they were worthy of joining the greatest academy on the Yulan Continent. The first candidate confidently walked onto the formation. Without saying a word, one of the elders released an overwhelming wave of spiritual pressure. The pressure was so intense that the young noble couldn't withstand it for even a single second before collapsing to the ground. His result was immediate: failed. Although he belonged to a powerful noble family, that status meant absolutely nothing inside Ernst Academy. Here, everyone was judged solely by their talent and determination. Watching the failed candidate leave, Master Doring quietly explained to Linley, "To pass this examination, raw magical talent isn't enough. Your mental strength and willpower are what truly matter. Push yourself beyond your limits. If you fail today, you won't be admitted into Ernst Academy." For Linley, this wasn't just another test, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Soon the examiner called Linley's name. Before the mental examination began, the elders first measured his elemental affinity. The crystal immediately began shining with an extraordinary light. One elder looked at the results in disbelief before announcing, "This child possesses superior-grade earth affinity, superior-grade wind affinity, and intermediate-grade fire affinity." The entire examination hall fell silent. Even the senior elders couldn't hide their surprise. Having such exceptional affinity with multiple elements was incredibly rare. Everyone immediately realized that Linley was an extraordinary genius. Without wasting any more time, Linley stepped into the magical formation. The examiner activated the light magic formation, and brilliant white energy instantly surrounded him. An unbearable amount of pressure descended upon his body and mind. Every second became more painful than the last. Sweat covered Linley's face and his legs began trembling. Yet he refused to kneel. He remembered the years of hardship his family had endured. He remembered how the once glorious Baruch clan had fallen into decline. Most importantly, he remembered the promise he had made to his father. "Father, I will never disappoint you." With that determination burning inside him, Linley unleashed every ounce of his willpower. Instead of being crushed by the pressure, he shattered it completely. The magical formation burst apart, leaving everyone in complete shock. The elders could hardly believe what they had just witnessed. The examiner immediately announced the results. "His magical power is nearly 18 times greater than that of an average disciple. His spiritual strength has reached the superior grade." The academy masters exchanged astonished glances. There was no doubt anymore. Linley was one of the greatest talents they had seen in years. Several academy representatives immediately stepped forward and began inviting him to join their respective academies. Some offered complete tuition waivers. Others promised generous scholarships and special treatment. Everyone wanted this young genius. However, Linley had already made up his mind. There was only one academy he had dreamed of attending since childhood. At that moment, the vice principal of Ernst Academy personally walked toward him. Looking directly into Linley's eyes, he said, "Only those who have the courage to surpass their own limits are truly qualified to walk the path of magic. You possess that determination. On behalf of Ernst Academy, I officially invite you to become one of our students." Linley couldn't hide his excitement. "It has always been my dream to study at Ernst Academy. Thank you for making that dream come true." Nearby, Hillman couldn't stop smiling. He had watched Linley grow up from childhood, and seeing him accepted into the continent's greatest academy filled him with pride. Without wasting another moment, Hillman hurried back to inform Lord Hogg. When he delivered the news, Hogg was overwhelmed with emotion. "Our Linley has truly done it." He quietly walked to the portrait of his late wife. Looking at her picture, he whispered, "Our son has grown into a remarkable young man. He will restore the Baruch clan's glory. Once my responsibility is fulfilled, I'll come find you." After saying those words, Hogg opened a mysterious box hidden inside the room. Inside rested a strange crimson symbol. Its true significance remained unknown, but Hogg silently promised his wife that one day he would uncover the truth. The story then shifted back to Ernst Academy. The academy was even more magnificent than Linley had imagined. Students from every kingdom and empire across the continent trained there. Every one of them possessed unique magical abilities. As Linley admired the breathtaking campus, he couldn't help smiling. So this is Ernst Academy. No wonder it's called the greatest academy on the continent. Standing beside him, Master Doring smiled nostalgically. "When I studied here thousands of years ago, it looked exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Seeing this place again brings back many old memories." As they walked through the academy grounds, Linley suddenly remembered the letter his father had given him before leaving home. Inside, Hogg had written, "Being accepted into Ernst Academy is only the beginning. From now on, you must work harder than everyone else. There are no shortcuts in cultivation. Train diligently, trust in our ancestors, and one day restore the glory of the Baruch clan." After reading the letter once again, Linley silently made another promise to himself. "No matter what happens, I will revive the Baruch clan." Just then, several students suddenly shoved him aside while walking through the academy. "Move! Don't block young Master Yang's path." Linley looked up and saw a proud-looking noble youth named Yang. Yang glanced at him with obvious contempt, as if Linley were beneath him. Nearby, one of Yang's followers began bullying another new student for no reason. Just as they were about to attack him again, Yang pretended to stop them. "Oh, leave him alone. He's just a new student." Then he smiled kindly and extended his hand toward the frightened boy. Believing Yang wanted to help him, the student reached out. The very next second, Yang punched him without warning. Everyone nearby was stunned. Unable to watch any longer, Linley stepped forward. "What are you doing? Don't you think you've gone too far?" Yang slowly turned toward him before sneering. "A country bumpkin like you wants to play the hero?" The atmosphere instantly became tense. More and more students gathered to watch. Sensing that things might get out of control, one of Yang's followers whispered, "Young master, let's stop here. If the teachers find out, we'll be the ones in trouble." Yang clicked his tongue before pointing at Linley. "You're lucky today, but next time I'll settle this with you." After delivering his warning, Yang finally walked away. Although the confrontation ended without a fight, Linley understood one thing very clearly. Life at Ernst Academy wasn't going to be peaceful. This was only the beginning. After his confrontation with Yang, Linley headed toward the student dormitory assigned to him by Ernst Academy. As soon as he arrived, he noticed servants carrying out old furniture and replacing everything with brand new decorations. Confused, Linley wondered what was happening. Just then, a cheerful young man walked over with a bright smile. "My name is Yale," he introduced himself. "Looks like we're going to be roommates." Linley looked around the room and asked, "Why are they replacing all the furniture?" Yale laughed. "If we're going to live together for years, we might as well start with a fresh room. From today onward, we're brothers. If you ever need anything, just ask me." When Linley heard Yale mention years, he was stunned. "How long do students usually stay here?" Yale casually replied, "Most students don't graduate until they reach the 6th rank mage level. For ordinary people, that can take several decades." Linley's face instantly turned pale. "If it takes me 40 or 50 years to graduate, my father will have to support me all that time. He can't possibly afford that." Unable to hide his concern, he asked Master Doring, "Master, do I really have to stay for that long?" Doring smiled confidently. "Those are ordinary students. You're different. If you continue working hard, 10 years should be enough." Those words finally eased Linley's worries. While the servants continued arranging the room, Linley noticed several pieces of exercise equipment. Yale grinned proudly. "Just because we're mages doesn't mean we should neglect our bodies. A strong physique is just as important as powerful magic." He then turned toward one of his servants and casually ordered, "When you return home, Tell my father to transfer another 10,000 gold coins to my magic crystal card. And remind him to keep sending my monthly allowance." Hearing that enormous amount, Linley realized just how wealthy Yale's family really was. A short while later, another roommate arrived. "My name is George." Unlike Yale, George was calm, polite, and humble. As a greeting, he brought gifts for everyone. He presented Yale with an expensive magical brush blessed by a high priest. Then he turned toward Linley. "I've heard stories about the Dragonblood Warriors of the Baruch clan ever since I was a child. To me, your ancestors were true heroes." His sincere admiration surprised Linley. George then handed him a beautiful crystal. "This is a magic sensing crystal. It allows you to measure your magical power and spiritual energy whenever you want." Linley's eyes lit up. "This is exactly what I needed. Now I can track my progress." He immediately poured his magical power into the crystal. The crystal glowed brightly. George and Yale stared at the result in shock. "You possess both earth and wind elemental affinity?" Neither of them knew that Linley also possessed fire affinity because he had never revealed it. Just then, Master Doring secretly emerged from the Coiling Dragon ring. Only Linley could see him. Looking at the crystal's readings, Doring nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent. You're very close to another breakthrough." Before they could continue talking, the dormitory door opened once again. A tall young man carrying an enormous sword walked inside. His name was Reynolds Dunstan. Behind him stood an elderly man. The moment Doring saw the elder, he immediately disappeared back into the Coiling Dragon ring. He had a strange feeling that the old man might be capable of sensing his spiritual presence. Reynolds, however, was the complete opposite of quiet. Wherever he went, chaos seemed to follow. Yale looked at him curiously. "You're a fire element mage, and judging by your aura, are you from the O'Brien Empire?" Reynolds smiled. "That's right. I belong to one of the Empire's warrior clans." After introducing himself, Reynolds' grandfather said goodbye and left the academy. Later that evening, the academy prepared a welcome banquet for all the new students. While everyone was talking, Linley suddenly realized that Bebe had disappeared. Moments later, he spotted the little Shadowmouse happily stealing food from the banquet table. Unfortunately, Reynolds noticed him as well. The moment he saw Bebe, his expression changed dramatically. "A divine beast, Shadowmouse!" Without thinking, Reynolds immediately launched a fire magic attack. Bebe effortlessly dodged every spell. The dining hall instantly turned into complete chaos. Seeing the misunderstanding, Linley quickly stepped between them. He created an earth spike to stop the chase before explaining, "Stop, he's my partner." Only then did Reynolds realize he had made a mistake. He immediately apologized. "I'm sorry. I thought it was a wild magical beast." The misunderstanding was quickly resolved, and everyone burst into laughter. Looking around at his roommates, Linley couldn't help smiling. Yale was cheerful. George was kind. Reynolds was honest. He had been worried that academy life would be lonely. Instead, he had found true friends. The very next day, classes officially began. During wind magic class, every student received a magical feather. Their first lesson was simple. They had to control the feather using wind magic. Watching the other students practice, Master Doring quietly pointed toward a beautiful young girl. "Look at her. Her control over wind magic is excellent. If you continue practicing, you'll eventually reach that level." At that moment, an incredibly powerful gust of wind swept through the classroom. A sleeping student was blown straight out of his seat and thrown outside. Everyone immediately stood up. Their instructor had arrived. His name was Tracy. Although he was a teacher, he was also one of Ernst Academy's outstanding senior students. Without wasting time, Tracy began the lesson. Wind magic is famous for two things: unmatched speed and overwhelming offensive power. Our first spell will be Windblade. Following his instructions, every student attempted to create a blade of compressed wind. To demonstrate the spell, Tracy casually released a wind blade. Every feather floating inside the classroom was sliced cleanly in half. The students watched in amazement. Soon afterward, Tracy called one student forward. Her name was Leon. She confidently released her wind magic. However, before she could finish, Tracy suddenly interrupted her. "So you're Dishi's younger sister?" Leon looked surprised. Tracy continued. "While I was teaching, you were only focused on showing off your own talent. That arrogance will prevent you from understanding the true essence of magic." To teach her a lesson, Tracy surrounded her with countless sharp feathers. Although they looked dangerous, he had no intention of hurting her. He simply wanted to humble her. Turning back toward the class, Tracy announced, "Every semester, Ernst Academy holds a grand magical tournament. If you want to prove your strength, do it in the arena, not inside my classroom." Those words left a deep impression on every student. Later that evening, Linley returned to a quiet area to continue his training. He summoned Master Doring and said, "I don't want to waste 10 years at this academy. I've decided to focus almost entirely on wind magic while continuing my own earth magic training." Doring nodded in approval. "Very well, but don't disturb me. I'm going to sleep." As soon as he disappeared, Linley noticed countless wind blades striking nearby rocks. Following the attacks, he discovered Leanne training alone. She was venting all her frustration. For years, everyone had only known her as Dishi's sister. No one recognized her own talent. When she noticed Linley watching, she angrily demanded, "What are you looking at? Are you here to laugh at me too?" Linley calmly shook his head. "Respect isn't something people simply give you. You have to earn it yourself." After saying those words, he quietly walked away. From that day onward, Linley completely devoted himself to cultivation. He trained throughout the night. He attended classes during the day. Whenever he had free time, he practiced even harder. Occasionally, he relaxed with Yale, George, Reynolds, and Bebe. But his true focus never changed, getting stronger. As the months passed, his magical control improved dramatically. Both his earth and fire magic became increasingly refined. Eventually, one of his powerful spells cracked a massive stone cliff apart. Watching the scene, Master Doring smiled proudly. "Excellent. You've officially reached the level of a second-rank mage." Linley, however, wasn't satisfied. "I trained every single day for an entire year, and I've only reached the second rank. My goal still feels so far away." Doring simply smiled. "Don't underestimate yourself. No one else your age has progressed this quickly." Unbeknownst to Linley, someone else had also been observing his remarkable growth. His instructor, Tracy. Watching Linley's relentless dedication, Tracy finally realized one thing. This young man wasn't merely talented, he was a true genius. After observing Linley's progress for an entire year, instructor Tracy finally became convinced that he was looking at a once-in-a-generation genius. The very next day, he called Linley over. "Linley, you'll be participating in the Academy tournament." Linley respectfully shook his head. "I'm sorry, instructor, but I'm not interested in competing." Tracy crossed his arms and replied firmly, "I wasn't asking for your opinion. I'm informing you. You won't just participate, you'll win first place." Linley looked puzzled. "Why?" Tracy explained that the champion would receive a luxurious private dormitory along with several academy privileges. However, Linley asked the only question that mattered to him. "Is there any cash prize?" Tracy blinked in surprise. "No," Linley smiled politely. "Then I'd rather spend that time training. If there's no reward that can help my cultivation, I don't see the point of competing." His answer left Tracy speechless. Most students dreamed of becoming famous through the tournament, but Linley cared only about becoming stronger. For him, every minute spent training was more valuable than any title. A few days later, the annual tournament officially began. Students from every department gathered around the massive arena. The atmosphere was filled with excitement as everyone waited for the first match. Standing on the stage, Yale enthusiastically announced the opening battle. "Our first match will be Yang versus Lai." The crowd immediately erupted into cheers. As soon as Yang stepped onto the arena, he began mocking his opponent. He looked down on Lai from the very beginning and insulted him in front of everyone. Watching the scene, Yale frowned. "It looks like Yang has already reached the second rank. No wonder he's become even more arrogant." Reynolds nodded. "That's actually impressive. For an average mage, reaching the second rank usually takes at least 2 years. Then Yale suddenly turned toward Linley. "Wait a second, tell me honestly, have you reached the second rank too?" Linley simply nodded. "Yes." Silence. Both Yale and Reynolds stared at him in complete disbelief. "You reached the second rank in just 1 year?" Neither of them could believe what they had just heard. That kind of growth was almost unheard of, even inside Ernst Academy. Yale immediately became excited. "Then what are we waiting for? You have to enter the tournament. Go teach that arrogant Yang a lesson." Reynolds agreed without hesitation. "You're definitely strong enough to beat him." But once again, Linley calmly refused. "I'm really not interested." His friends couldn't understand him. Most students spent months preparing for this tournament because it was their chance to become famous throughout the academy. Linley, however, had completely different priorities. He wasn't chasing fame. He wasn't chasing recognition. He wasn't trying to prove himself to anyone. His only goal was to become stronger as quickly as possible. Seeing that he couldn't change Linley's mind, Yale asked, So where are you going now? Linley looked toward the distant mountains outside the academy. I'm going to train. I want to break through to the 3rd rank as soon as possible. Without another word, he quietly walked away from the noisy tournament grounds. While everyone else fought for glory and applause, Linley returned to the one place where he truly belonged, the training grounds. There, surrounded by silence, he continued practicing his earth and wind magic with unwavering determination. Every spell, every drop of mana, every exhausting training session brought him one step closer to his dream. He remembered his father's words before leaving home. There are no shortcuts on the path of cultivation. Only those who work harder than everyone else can stand at the very top. Those words had become the guiding principle of his life. No matter how talented he was, Linley refused to rely solely on talent. He believed that relentless effort would always surpass natural ability. As the sun slowly set over Ernst Academy, the cheers from the tournament echoed in the distance. But Linley paid them no attention. His heart remained focused on a much greater goal, restoring the glory of the Baruch clan. One day, he would become powerful enough to stand at the peak of the Yulan Continent. And this was only the beginning of that incredible journey. Yale and Reynolds stared at Linley in complete disbelief. Brother, you reached the 2nd rank in just 1 year? Neither of them could believe what they had just heard. Yale immediately became excited and said, Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and get onto the arena. It's time to teach Yang a lesson. You have to participate. However, Linley simply shook his head. Senior, I'm not interested in this tournament. After saying that, he quietly turned around and started walking away. His friends called out after him, Hey, where are you going now? Without even looking back, Linley smiled and replied, I'm going to train. I want to break through to the 3rd rank mage as soon as possible. While everyone else